Alrighty, so to conclude my backcountry video series, when it comes to rifles, here's the comparison between the two, okay? And this is really a pretty easy thing for me to talk about because most of my buddies hunt with this exact setup right here, okay? I've helped get them lined up with choosing scopes, choosing rings, getting their actual Tikkas set up, reloaded for, or just factory ammo. And so I've seen this setup perform over and over and over and over. Good buddy this year killed a great bull, 315 bull at Bull Elk at 600 yards, no problem. Put 3 rounds within, maybe, I don't even know, maybe, a little bit smaller than a pie plate, half a pie plate at 600 yards, like really, really capable rifle. And again, it's really, really light. It kicks ass. Now, why then spend, $5,000 on this setup right here? Well, I'll tell you what you get when you spend a little bit more money. The very first thing that I really think you get is this gun is definitely more shootable than this gun. What I mean by shootable is it's more comfortable, it's a more stable platform, and it provides what I believe is more consistency shot to shot to shot, okay? I tend to find that, semi-custom guns, or in this case a factory option, super accurate, consistent, but there are times where I definitely feel like it's not as shootable. I don't think the stock is good. It's a classic stock, obviously. When it goes to your cheek, it's just not quite as good of a feeling. It doesn't fit as well as a full custom, right? And that's to be expected, right? This gun costs less than just the stock on this rifle, so that makes sense that this is going to be a little bit more comfortable to shoot. The other area that I think that obviously you gain a lot is with the scope, okay? I definitely notice a big difference, especially in low light or early morning, late evening situations with this scope versus versus like this Vortex LHT. I notice it's just a more stable, better, clear, more crisp picture that you get out of a little bit more expensive scope. The other area I definitely notice improvement on the scope section is the turrets, okay? The turrets between this Mark V and the turrets between this Vortex LHT are just different, right? These clicks are really, really noticeable. Makes a nice audible click noise. These are a little bit more, it's just not quite as crisp, not quite as obvious, just not quite as solid mechanically as this scope. Now, does that mean this scope is less reliable or more likely to fail? Absolutely not. I'm just telling you my opinion and the differences between both of them and what I've actually seen playing with them in the field. I feel like this is a little bit just a better glass and a little bit more tactile with the clicks. Other areas that I notice on the guns is, obviously looking at the ability to, run a suppressor or a brake on this. If I wanted to do the same thing on this budget gun, I'd have to have it threaded. I'd have to have the barrel cut down, and actually on these Tikkas, you have to have the barrel cut down pretty far in order to get, the threading to the point where you can get, 5/8 to 24 threading on it. Other than that, weight is really, really similar. Ballistically, they're very, very similar. This is a 7 Rem Mag, this is a 7 SOM, so they're going to be right around the same velocity. So, ultimately what I'm trying to get out of this video is that you really are not gaining that much noticeably on the rifle itself, okay? The thing I tell guys all the time when they say, hey, what's the difference between a $5,000 rifle and, a $2,000 rifle, right? It really comes down to the feel, right? What's the difference between a $300,000 sports car and a Tesla, $70,000 Tesla, right? They both go 0 to 60 in however many seconds, right? They're both fast as hell. The difference is a $300,000 sports car has a lot of little things that are user preferences, right? They're just things that kind of give that special feel that this is something that's really high end. And that's definitely what I noticed here, right? This climber stock, like I mentioned, the palm swell, the hand lane carbon stock. I mean, the way the action closes, right? There's just those small little pieces that come together it's just a quality difference, right? It's a difference between a manufactured gun on an assembly line and something that was built by hand by a guy who does it for a living, right? Who builds one at a time. You just notice those different things. And for me personally, hunting is a passion. It's something that I'm not afraid to spend money on. It's something that I'll do my entire life. And so having a firearm like this is something that I enjoy, right? But from an accuracy perspective, you're not getting that much more accuracy. You're not getting that much more consistency shot to shot out of these rifles. It really just comes down to those small little things. Now, 5 or 7 years ago when I first started, customs were just more accurate, right? That's just the reality. But factory offerings, factory ammo, factory small upgrades like these the trigger spring and the rail and whatnot have come so far in the last like I said 5 to 7 years that this rifle right here is I would call it again about just as accurate as this one right here. Maybe not quite as accurate, but pretty darn close. So. Again, between the two options, they're both awesome. I carry both of them for different hunts. If I'm going to go on a hunt where I know my stuff's going to get banged up really, really bad, I'll probably take this rifle simply because this one I don't want to beat up as much. If I'm going on the hunt where, I want to show off to my buddies or just I want a different rifle setup, then I'll probably bring this one. But again, I think that's probably the biggest finding for both of these is that full custom versus factory custom, there's not a big difference. Probably the biggest thing I would say is that this is going to take a little bit less time to fine tune to get that really, really good accuracy, that sub half minute of angle, whereas this is going to take maybe a little bit more tinkering, right? You might have to adjust your load a little bit more. You might have to play with more factory ammo offerings to get this to really shoot to its potential, but these are totally capable rifles. To close this whole thing, what I would tell you is when it comes to building an awesome backcountry rifle that's really, really shootable, really accurate, and really packable, some things to keep in mind. Keep that rifle as close to 8 pounds as possible. That's the first thing. Stick with smaller, more shootable calibers, right? Really, I would suggest to avoid the 300 Win Mags, avoid the 300 Normas, the 338 Normas, the 300 Rums. Like those calibers are badass, and I have a couple of them, but really not perfect for backcountry shooting where you're trying to keep an eye on that animal, you're trying to stay on your target, and you want something that's really easy to shoot. On top of that, ammo's heavier. They usually require a larger action. So again, just not as idealized for backcountry shooting. The other thing I would say is just think about those 3 aspects, right? Shootability, carryability, or packability, and then accuracy, right? If it doesn't shoot, under 1 inch at 100 yards, my preference is ½ inch, but most people 1 inch. I would look for something different. When you're in the backcountry, you really want to have that confidence that when you take a shot, that there's going to be no question about whether the animal's going to go down. So. That kind of breaks down my setup right there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the videos. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I do, like I said, I probably hunt 35 days a year in the backcountry. It's been a little bit since I've shot at competitions, but I've shot 30 plus national competitions across the U.S. So I've got a lot of experience in that area too. So whether it's reloading, rifle building, or ballistics, whatever, I've got my ear to what's going on in the industry. So anyway, I appreciate your guys' time and good luck this year.